Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams, and this is the match review, the extra time segment that we do on the channel on the Everton Leicester game that was at Goodison Park last night. I will be joined by Paul McAllister, I believe, at some point as well, so keep an eye out for Paul. He'll be dropping in on the stream to talk about his thoughts about the game last night. But yeah, and also don't forget to let me know your thoughts on it as well if you're watching. Feel free to share your comments. Overall, it was a weird game. I've been saying this all day. I've been saying it to my dad, and I saw a couple of people. It seems to have split people like three ways, and a lot in the middle, which is where I am with it. Where if you look at the stats for the game, we had the better chances. We had the better chances. Richarlison should have really had a hat trick. The one where it's an open goal is just absolutely mental that he's missed that. But so some people are saying we're unlucky not to win. We should have won. Yada yada yada. Which I can see where they're coming from, and I was saying this. I don't know. Because watching the actual game though, I thought we played really badly. It's got to be said. I thought Leicester passed through us with ease. They had their good chances. I think we just had the better of the chances. I don't even think it was up until like the second half. We hadn't even had a shot or a shot on target. And then obviously Lampard made a subs. Dele Alli coming on. I thought Ali played okay. In all honesty, I thought he played okay. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't amazing, but it's not the worst cameo I've seen him in an Everton top in. He looked okay. He got stuck in a bit. He was involved in the build up for the goal. I was quite content with his performance. I'm not going to say made up. I was just content. I thought Solomon Rondon was the real game changer. Ironically, I thought when he came on, he just offered us that little bit something. We could just lunge the ball up to him, and Richarlison could play off him. And I think that is that's the problem with Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin being injured, is that I don't think Richarlison is an out-and-out striker. I think he's better either coming in from the left, like a lot of people have wanted, or I think he's better in a two as well. In a two-man, he's just not. I just don't think he's your out-and-out up number 9 on his own, hold the ball up type player. So, yeah. So once Rondon came on, he offered that little bit, didn't he? It meant Richarlison wasn't on his own. It meant he could hold up the ball, which he did, lay it on, and stuff like that. So, and obviously he got the assist for Richarlison's goal very much that way. So I was impressed with Rondon when he came on. I thought he did quite well. But yeah, like I said, the stats suggest we had the better chances, and I think the XG does as well. But to be fair, one of them is Richarlison's chance, which I don't know how that's not gone in. If it ever summed up us this season, it was that. But it's okay. He got his goal in the end. I said in the match preview that I did on here, but literally up until kickoff, I said Richarlison has a knack of scoring against these. And he went and got another goal. He could have got 3. He could have got 3. That header as well in the second half. The stream I was watching on had Leon Osman in the studio. And Leon Osman said that was harder to miss than the first shot. I don't know if I fully agree with Leon Osman there, in all due respect. I think the one with the ball at his feet was a bigger miss than the header. I know he can header, but headers are just one of those, aren't they? Whereas the shot was a wide open goal in all accounts. It should have probably at the back of the net and probably would have ended it right there and then. I think Leicester were okay. It's a little bit annoying to let a goal go so early on. I'd actually missed it trying to find the stream, and then was still like, at that point I had a choice. I was like, do I leave it? And I was like, no, I better watch it. But yeah, Maddison, involved in that. Maddison was involved in a lot of their stuff. But yeah, deflection to Barnes, who sweeps it under the corner. Pickford stranded. It was tough. It was tough, and then it made us have to be reactionary. But like I said, I don't think for large parts of the game we played very well at all, and it was a shame. It was a shame that it was that poor. But a point's all we need. Well, ideally we needed 3, but I'll take a point. Leicester are still good. I don't know if they're as good as they were last season. I think they're struggling this season. I think it's injuries a little bit on Leicester's behalf. Because you look at our squad, and it's still a good squad. I don't think they should be as far down the table as they are. If I'm going to be completely honest, I think they're sitting in 12th, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. Should be doing a lot better than that with the squad they've got. But obviously, injuries, they got European football, have fizzled down to the Europa Conference, getting to the latter stages of that. They're ninth in the league, which isn't like, don't get me wrong, ninth. I'd bite your hand off if you said we'd finished ninth, but they're not going to get the European places. They are easily 13 points off United. A very poor Manchester United as well. How United are in that European battle still, I don't know. Some of the performances I've seen from United this season, it's absolutely it's a bit amazing, but it just shows how odd the Premier League is, and how open it is from the 2 down. The 2 are in their own stratosphere, but the other 2, like the rest of the teams down, it's I think it sums it up that Chelsea absolutely thumped Southampton, who then beat Arsenal, and then Arsenal went to beat Chelsea. I think that summed it up, didn't it? How mad the Premier League is. But yeah, I think in terms of Everton and in terms of the game, it was what was needed. It could have been a win. I thought we played poorly. I think a point's probably fair, and it's a point. It's better than a loss. There's a point on the board. It adds that little bit of comfort as well. We're now 4 points clear of Burnley, who play tonight. They play tonight, obviously. I don't think I'm wrong in saying we're all Southampton tonight. Obviously, if Southampton beat them, they stay at 4 points. There's managerless still, or they've still got their interim manager, their assistant Michael Jackson and Ben Mee. So even better is the fact that they're still an out of sorts Burnley. I'm sort of hoping that Burnley now, I know we've been saying this all season, that people reckon Everton are sort of praying that there's 3 lesser teams than them, and I think there are 3 lesser teams, and I think Burnley are a lesser team, and I don't think they're good enough, and I think that's going to be the major one that pulls us out of the relegation zone, is that Burnley are a worse team. But yeah, I've got some of your comments here, so I'll read a couple of these out. Nicholas has put we should have won that game, but on to the next one. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a mixed bag, isn't it? Some like when you look at the stats, we should have definitely won it, but when I was watching it, I thought we were poor up until a large part into the second half. I'd say with a quarter of the game left, we started getting into it, started to attack a little bit more. The crowd, which then got the crowd up as well. I thought it was a bit quiet for periods. Leicester doing that awful chant when the goalkeeper takes a corner goal kick. I hate that. I do. My dad was saying it was something that was around 30 years ago. It's proper championship material. So, but I heard a lot of Leicester fans, but obviously once we got into it, the crowd got into it. I think it's one of those where it's a marriage of the two. When the team fight, the crowd fight, it gets it all mixed together. And after that, in that quarter, I really do think we could have snatched maybe a win in all honesty. And once we scored as well, we looked like we really wanted to win the ball back in that 5 minutes and push it back. I do think there's a slight sweet irony that Leicester, in my opinion, were time wasting from 4 minutes in. Schmeichel had been doing it all the first half. I don't know why the referee hadn't told them already, but they were doing it from like the first half. Then they were doing it in the second. That 5 minutes has come from them wasting time. And then that's what goes and gets them. It's the wasted time. in that I'd added 5 minutes. So I thought that was a bit of justice, a bit of sweet deserve for Leicester. If you're going to time waste, the refs going to add not all. Like I don't think they had the complete amount of time on, but they had some of it on, and it came back to bite them there. Irwin's put, we should have Nicholas. I said last night, too many missed chances, but at least we didn't lose. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. At least we didn't lose. Nicholas also saying Richarlison should have had a hat trick. Irwin put in, he did save us last night. He did. He got the important goal, but those were two big chances. They were absolutely mad. Philip Farley's put the effort was there, but the quality is not. I thought Gray was awful. Yeah, I wasn't impressed with Damari Gray, in all honesty. The effort was there. I just thought we were far too easy for Leicester to pass through. I think Leicester were a bit poor as well, and we made them look good. Like I said, they've been struggling all season. We made them look good in parts. Irwin's put Gray hasn't been the same since Benitez left. Phillips echoed that, saying only seems to be played with Benitez. Yeah, I've noticed the drop since Benitez has gone. But I've not seen a massive difference in how we play. Obviously, Lampard, I don't think Lampard would ideally want to play the long ball, but we're still passing it out to the wings and hoping the wingers can cross the ball in. Obviously, Anthony Gordon's getting more of the ball this time, but we're still passing. When you watch us, we're still passing out to the wings. So Damari Gray's still getting plenty of it. It's not like the tactics completely leaving him out in the cold. He's getting a lot of the ball. I thought Mykolenko played okay. I was quite impressed with Mykolenko, and I thought he was unlucky. There were a lot of times where he was overlapping, providing overlapping runs, and he just wasn't getting the ball to him. Damari Gray wasn't laying it on either, and that's the one criticism with Mykolenko is, can he be that overlapping, marauding left back? And when he tries, he doesn't get the ball, and I felt a bit unlucky for him. Nicholas has put Adama has been linked with us, been linked again. I think Barcelona will probably want him, but I'm not a fan of Adama Traore. I don't think he's got much of an end product. He's just big and fat, and he is strong as well, and he's absolutely rapid, but I think his end product is something to be desired. Irwin's put first half were very poor, but I thought we improved in the second. Yeah, like I said, last quarter, halfway through the second half, I don't know what, well, I suppose it was Dele Alli coming on. And then obviously Solomon Rondon as well. It's got a credit where credit's due. Solomon Rondon's got a lot of stick this season, from myself included. But you got to give credit where it's due. He did well last night when he came on. I was impressed with Solomon Rondon when he came on. I thought he just offered something else, and it sort of blends in with what Lampard said the other day about beautiful football can come later. I think playing I would personally argue maybe start Rondon for the derby alongside Richarlison and drop Gray maybe. Just because he offers that outlet of hit the ball up, he'll take control of it and lay it on. And that's all we need him for. I don't think he's this goal scoring machine, but he's a big enough lad that he'll get himself about, lay the ball onto Richarlison, Anthony Gordon, and then let them play. Anthony Gordon, speaking of, I thought he was okay last night. In part, obviously, he's, like I said before on the preview before it, he's got that thing that young players have, that no fear approach of going on and taking on his man. And again, he showed that a little bit, but it has to be said, I thought his crossing could be a little bit better. I thought his crossing was a little bit off, especially from open play. But he wasn't the worst. He wasn't the worst player by him, to be honest. And saying that, I struggle to think maybe who the worst player is. I thought Allen had a tough game. I thought Allen had quite a poor game, actually. I don't know. That might be one of the poorer games I've seen him play in an Everton top. He looks tired, or he looked tired. Obviously, having bringing Dele Alli on, you could argue he had to do that anyway as an attacking substitution. But Allen coming off was probably one of the ones I was looking at anyway. Towards the end, I thought him and Gray needed to come off. Allen looked tired. Gray just wasn't offering us a lot, in my opinion. And they're the subs, to be fair, that Frank Lampard made. Both substitutions I was in agreement with. Solomon Rondon is our only attacking option unless you count Dele Alli on the bench, so I'm not surprised he brought him on. And proved to be the right choice. Dele Alli, I'm surprised Donny van der Beek or Decore didn't get game time or didn't didn't get subbed on, in all honesty. But it's good to see Dele Alli get some minutes. And like I said, he was getting amongst it. He didn't impress me. I'm not going to say, he should start the next game, but he gave an effort. He gave an effort, which is something I've seen him being criticised about, and I've been a bit dubious about his effort in the side. So I was happy to see him give that sort of that fire in his belly as such. So I was happy to see that from Dele Alli. I think it's something a lot of fans have sort of questioned with those clips, weren't there, where he's walking when we're losing and stuff like that. And I think fans, myself included, were a little bit worried we'd got another passenger, which is something you don't need when you're in this sort of dogfight. You don't need passengers. But no, credit where it's due. Phil Farley's put, I think Lampard got his midfield wrong, should have played Decore and Van der Beek. As in like Allen, Van der Beek and Decore or Delph instead. I think it'd been tough to drop them. I think Iwobi and Delph played and Allen played well against United. I thought it'd be tough to drop them. If Calvert-Lewin was fit, I would have probably have said I wouldn't have changed the team at all from the United game. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin not being fit meant he had to. Decore, I think he's a great player, but I think he's been struggling a little bit recently. Van der Beek, I'm surprised we didn't see Van der Beek, to be completely honest with you. That one did shock me a little bit, but I sort of would have felt harsh if he dropped Fabian Delph or Iwobi. Iwobi, I thought as well, another player I thought played well. I'll obviously get into the my top 3 players or top player who I thought played well and the ones that I think there's room for improvement a little bit later on. But Iwobi, another one. I thought he had an all right game. I thought there was obviously that one chance where he hit it from miles out. And like Gordon was asking for it, but as Osman said on the commentating as well, Gordon was running into his marker. I think Iwobi saw that and knows it wasn't happening and just thought, just hit it, fancy your luck. Sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. But I thought Iwobi overall, he's got this, he chases down stuff, which I quite like. He's got a lot of energy in that midfield role. Eugene McGeever's put Richarlison should have had an hat-trick. He should. To be fair, he should have. Phil's put Maddison was in dreamland. Mikalenko and Maddison couldn't handle him. Maddison was good, and that's a player he is. He'll drop in a holes, he'll make stuff out of nothing. But I will say I was quite impressed with Mikalenko at one point. I can't remember which Leicester player it is. It might have been Luckman, but there was a last-ditch tackle from Mikalenko that I was really impressed with because he does well to get back for it. And he's one of those, I keep saying this, he's steadily impressing me. He's not, having 9s out of 10s every game, but he's having 6.5s, 7s, 7.5s, and like gradually improving over time, which I'm really glad to see. Think Hooters put, we started too slowly. Leicester could have got more than one goal in that period. Could have won the game had Richarlison scored from the earlier chances he had. So 1-1, it's not what we wanted. No, it's not what we wanted, but it's better than a loss. It's better than a loss is the main one I can say to that. And we should have won, but then also we weren't good enough. So in the first half, like our chances, we had better chances, but like you said, we weren't good enough in the first half. So it'd be a bit like, unless they had their chances, it'd be a bit ironic to say, oh, we should have won, but we were also rubbish. I'm reading through a couple more of these. Eugene's put, I hope Southampton beat Burnley tonight. Yeah, I think we're all Southampton fans tonight. Come on, Ralph's Army. Thoughts on Mina, played for Everton last night against Leicester at Goodison. I was a little bit worried about Mina, in all honesty. I thought, we're going to rush him back. He's going to go down. He's going to... I'm still holding my breath, touching wood as well, because I've got this horrible feeling it'll be Yerry Mina got a strain in training. But I'm hoping he ends up being all right, obviously, because he's an important centre-back. Interestingly enough, Fabio Silva from Wolves came out today with comments about him, saying he's his toughest person. He just touches your whole game, says stuff to you, gets in your head. which I think we've all seen Yerry Mina do. He did it to Bamford last season, I believe it was, or it might have been this season. I think it might have been this season, actually. The season's all blurred. This season's been an absolute muddle in my head, but I think it might have been this season. He got into Bamford's head and Bamford looked fuming. It was he's that type of player, isn't he? He's a physical presence, but he's also very good at the psychological bit. Wanderlust has put a weird game, but we take him. Rondon was great. Rondon impressed me. Phillips put Anthony Gordon was great, just needs a better end product. Yeah, that's what I mean. His crossing didn't impress me, but obviously his tenacity and his willingness to go and beat a man impresses me. I think you're right. It's just an end product thing, but he's only young. That'll come in time. It's not like you can't teach an end product. You can't teach crossing. It's a teachable skill to have. He'll get better as he gets older and more mature. So I think that'll be absolutely fine. I'm not too worried about Gordon. I think he's a very good player, and he's a shining light in what has been a really dismal season. Philip for Allen and Gray 2 worst. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think they were my 2 worst as well. In all honesty, I think they were my 2 worst players. I think my 2 best players were, I don't know. It's a tough toss up between. Thought Gordon did okay. I want to say Richarlison because he got chances, but he should have had a hat trick. And Rondon, I'd say the 2 better ones were Rondon and Richarlison. Even though Richarlison should have got a hat trick, just because he's making those chances. He had the 2 best chances. Ironically, the one he scored, I thought was probably his hardest one, because he sort of scuffs it. But ironically, that's the one he scores. And the one glaring one. His sort of heart in your mouth, hands in your head, sort of how's he missed that? As was half of Goodison Park, and you could hear the sort of shock coming through as well. Cam's put, I didn't like how Seamus Slip just stayed on his knees and watched. Yeah, I believe it might have been Eugene's mentioned this slip as well. Luckily, it didn't massively lead to anything. But yes, I mean, slips happen. All the best, some of the best in the world slip. It could be worse. It's not the worst slip I've seen. Some slips give away league titles. So, it's one of them. Irwin's put, anyone remember El Ghazi? Feel sorry for him. He was another one I spoke about today when I was talking to my dad. I just don't understand that. And I think it was a waste of a loan. And if we got him, probably wouldn't have got Dele Alli on the deal we did. We'd have probably got him on a loan deal, but we've used up our 2 loan slots, so we sort of had to do it. And the way the deal is, Spurs don't actually get anything out of it till I think it's 20 games. So a loan would have been, they'd probably have got more off it if we were paying them, but it sounded like they just needed his wages off the books. Phil's put, I honestly believe we missed Townsend. He could be a match winner with his strikes. And he put, yeah, I agree, but Alan plays better than when Doucouré plays. Yeah, Alan, I think they complement each other because Doucouré will help out defensively. But Cam's put here, Doucouré's knackered. I think he came back from injury too early. I think Doucouré is absolutely shattered as well. And I believe he might be doing Ramadan as well, and he might be fasting. And I was saying this to my dad, when you think about if he's fasting, that's a long time with, no eating and stuff. And then to play 90 minutes of football, and it's not just 90 minutes or cardio. They do weight training and stuff like that. Your body sort of needs those nutrients. So for him to be fasting and then playing football is going to be really tough. I think we're seeing a lot of players, a lot of Muslim players who are doing Ramadan, sort of struggling with the physical side of it and the demands. But I'm sure Doucouré, he's one of those. I'm sure he'll be back to his best. It might not even be that. He might just be having a little bit of a wobble, which all players do. I've got 100% confidence we'll see Doucouré back into good form very soon. Flash the originals, but agree, Connor. Doucouré is all bluster, huffs and puffs, but no end product. Eugene McGeever's put Sky Sports pundit tells Everton let Fabian Delph speak to other clubs before offering a new deal. I wouldn't offer Fabian Delph a new deal. I think he's I think he's doing a job for us. I think he's handy. Don't be offering him a new deal. This was like when John Joe Kenny played well against Leeds, and it was sort of like people were going, "Oh, should we offer him a new deal?" And I think he's probably going to get it now, but no, because after that, I don't think John Joe Kenny's played well after that. I think that might be his one performance of the season. And I think Fabian Delph might be along the same lines. He'll do a job from now till the end of the season, but get rid and buy another number 6 who's just gonna sit there in front of the defense like an Ndidi type player. Get one of them. Don't just because Fabian Delph, is doing a job for us now. I don't think means that he should be doing a job for us the whole of next season. Erwin's put Mikolenko's been brilliant these last 2 games. Yep, completely agree. And Phil's put I would play Mina and Keane because for me Godfrey's gone off the boil big time, just goes back every single time. I don't trust Michael Keane whatsoever. I respect your opinion. For me, Michael Keane's got a mistake in him. And I think he's a bit of a liability. I think we need some new centre backs at the club. I like Godfrey, and I'm not saying he should go. He's definitely one of my to stay, but I think we need another centre back at the club. If I was going to get rid of centre backs, I'd get rid of Keane and Holgate first. If Tarkowski was willing to come, maybe him, but definitely a new centre back. That just because Yerry Mina's injury record as well sort of shows that we can't really rely on him to get 30. Sometimes we can't rely on him to get 10 games out of him. Flash Originals put Delph out, expensive, get Sims back. I think Sims is coming back, isn't he? He scored the other day. He scored a rocket against Hibs. He might have scored it against. It was an unreal finish. Phil's put, we have to believe and win the next 3 home games and maybe take something from the 2 away. Yeah, the derby, I'm not going to lie, the derby, you're not going to get me anywhere optimistic for that, in all honesty, which sounds negative to say, but I'm not going to lie and say I'm optimistic. I'm really pessimistic for that. But the other home games are important. And some of the away games, I don't think we should be. I think at home we've got Chelsea, haven't we? Next, I think looking at Chelsea against Arsenal, I watched the highlights for that. They've gone off the boil a little bit. Maybe we could get a win at home, even a draw. I'd take a draw against Chelsea any day of the week. Brentford, I completely agree with you. Must win at Brentford. Looking at the away ones, the derby writing off. Leicester, maybe we could steal the draw again because we've played them so recently. You'd hope that Lampard sort of has their number a little bit, and that's a little bit later on. So the Conference League schedule might affect them a little bit more. Then they have to rotate. Watford, I know we struggle on the road, but Watford we should realistically. We should be beat. We should have beat them at home. The home performance was absolutely atrocious. No excuse. But we should be looking to beat them, even if it is at Vicarage Road. Everton, Crystal Palace. Palace have had us a couple of times. Palace are a good side. But if the fight's there, we should be, again, it's home as well. Maybe. And then Arsenal at the end of the season, just depends if Arsenal have got anything to play for and what Arsenal turn up. Arsenal are a really odd club at the minute. 1 minute you watch them and you think fantastic. The next you watch them and you think, Interestingly, I've saw that we're linked with Michy Batshuayi again, which about 4 years ago I'd have bit your hand off for that. 3 years ago I'd have bit your hand off, but we seem to be linked with him forever and never getting him. And I believe he's in Turkey now, and sort of don't think he gets. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he gets the opportunities. I don't know how well he's doing in Turkey, but like when he was in the Prem, I don't think he got many opportunities. Surprised he didn't get as many games for Palace, but when he was at Dortmund, he did well. But I think that boat's passed, in all honesty. I think that boat's passed. Apparently, Leeds are after him as well, but I think he'll probably. I could see Leeds going for him. But yeah, obviously that, like I said, the Leicester game. I'll give you my bad. It's which is grey and my good. I've given you my overall as well. I thought in bits we played that quarter we played really well. That one quarter, I thought Pickford's kicking was a little bit a little. I mean, I don't know, a little bit off in terms. It wasn't going out. It's not the worst kicking I've seen, but it was just. It sometimes looks like he's firing down the end of the pitch, hoping for what's best. But and I was saying this the other day to somebody. I was watching the United Liverpool game, the Liverpool United game, and I was watching De Gea kick. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna lie and say I watch every Premier League game that isn't Everton's. So I'm not watching neutral games quite a lot, but I watch highlights, and they don't tend to show goal kicks on highlights, just because they're not the most exciting thing in football. But watching De Gea kick that ball makes you appreciate Jordan Pickford. I'm not saying he's, Edison levels of kicking, but there were about 3 or 4 that De Gea had kicked out, and I was thinking, what are you doing? It's a goal kick. And he has centre backs to pass to if he can't kick, but I don't know how well he trusts the centre backs ahead of him. But I was a little bit dubious of that. So it's only when you watch a goalkeeper who can't kick as well, and you start to appreciate what you have, which is Jordan Pickford in all his glory. But moving on to the next, obviously the next game is Liverpool, and it depends massively on what happens tonight in the Burnley game. But I think I still stick by it with 4 points away from Burnley. And I said the other day, I think we're 2 wins away from safety, depending on what Burnley do as well. But I think we're still, if we get 6 points, that takes us up to 35. That puts us above Leeds if they stayed on what they were on. But I think 35, all we need is Burnley to lose 2 and us to get those 2. We're 10 points clear. I think then it's done. Or as close to done as it could be. We just can sort of relax a little bit more then. I think we just need 2 wins. And looking at the current fixtures, I think there's 2 wins there. I think Brentford at home, we should look at that as winnable. Definitely. I think Vicarage Road, Watford, I think that's winnable. Chelsea, I think that's definitely drawable. Winnable, I hope so. Definitely a drawable fixture. I'd say Leicester away. If our away form wasn't as dreadful as it is, I'd say that's drawable as well. But there's definitely 2 winnable games and about 2 drawable games that I'm going to put out there. I think Palace, we could, at home, maybe that's winnable, but definitely we should be trying to draw that at home. And Arsenal at the end of the season, that could go anyway. That could end up being a win, a draw, or a loss. That, I can't really write that because of how unpredictable both teams are. But there's definitely, I think, saying that there's 2 wins and 2 draws in those remaining 6 fixtures isn't an outrageous thing to say. And I think we only need 2 wins. Maybe a win in those 2 draws would do it, but I think that's a bit too close for comfort. We need those 2 wins. And then the draws would just, I'm going to take the draws. You're not going to turn down draws, are you? But going back to a couple more of your comments, Cam's put, now with Mina, we can go to a free back, Mina, Gerrard and Ben. Phil's also put, I believe we can win 3 home games. I think 2 home wins would do us. Cam's put about the free back. I've got this thing where I don't think I want to see Everton in a free back for a very, very long time. I don't think we've got the players in front of the defence for it, for one. I think it leaves us so deep. Maybe in the summer he'll reintroduce it. And interestingly enough, Mikalenko can play centre-back, and I think as a left centre-back, he'd be quite nice. Obviously, we've got Branthwaite as well, who I'd love to see a little bit more of. United are linked with him. Love to see him get a little bit more game time for us. Phil's put Derby's dead rubber, Jekyll and Hyde, Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea are really Jekyll and Hyde, and I saw Aspilicueta arguing with the fans as well. Always a sign of a club in a bit of a stump and in a bit of a struggle, isn't it, when you see players arguing with the fans? Although, interestingly enough, the fans were giving it big till he steps a little bit closer to the boarding, and all of a sudden one of the fans has gone from giving him fist gestures to open palm, I'm sorry, which is quite amusing to watch. Phil Mason's just put it'd just be us to go and beat Liverpool. I'd hope so. I hope a draw. The optimism in me says we could probably snatch a draw. If we beat them, that'd be fantastic. If we could draw against them, that'd be fantastic. But the realist in me says it's all sorts of horrible things for that game. All sorts. Wonderlist has put, I'm not sure whether to swerve Everton's visit to Anfield or watch it and embrace the horror. I probably I don't know if I've got plans on Sunday. I'll probably watch it for a bit. I'll probably draw the line if it comes silly like 5-0 before half time. I'll probably draw the line at that, because it's sort of, after that it's not fun. It's not fun, and there's better ways to spend a Sunday. Erwin's put Coleman was excellent for me last night. Interesting. The app I use to check the stats and that has him down as our best rated player with an 8.2. I thought he was okay. I thought he was just a bit solid. Obviously, he had that slip, and Mikalenko bailed him out as well at one point. Other than that, I thought he also bailed out a few. And my dad said that as well. My dad went the game and he said Seamus Coleman, he thought he played well. So yeah, you're definitely not alone in that one, Erwin. I've seen a couple saying Seamus Coleman. Phil's put, we should look in the Championship. There's some great players who fight, not continental players who play when they want and don't like the cold. Yeah, there's a couple of lads have been clamouring for that. I know Owen, who sometimes appears on the channel, has mentioned numerous times, I think on Twitter and maybe even on the channel, that he'd quite like to see that. And James Pendleton, I've spoke to him a couple of times from the Babbling Blues, and he said he'd love for us to dip into that Championship market. And there are some good players. There's some really good players this year. The Championship is a nice, especially those top half. I think certain teams in the Championship, there's some players that, are a bit too, maybe a little bit too good for the Championship. It's finding if they can cut in the Prem, though. I think Mitrovic is the prime example of that. In the Prem, I've liked Mitrovic for a while, but in the Prem, I think he struggles. But in the Championship, he's on 40 goals, I think it is now, in 39 games. Absolutely incredible numbers. DW's put Pickford's passing's decent, never really puts defenders under pressure for the sake of it, and his long balls are quality. Yeah, I just think last night they were going a bit. It could just be that nobody was running down the channel for him, to be honest, mate. But I thought it was slightly off. But don't get me wrong, like I said, I watched the Haya Kickers football, and it's not good. One of us has put Mike came up. That can only benefit things. Oliver Morgan's put Everton need more goals, and the defenders will have something to defend. Like I said, I think our first shots were in that quarter where we had that good spell. I'm a little bit concerned of our lack of attacking football. Don't get me wrong, I don't think we're a team that can go full to the metal, throw bodies forward. We've got to be a little bit pragmatic. But it looked at times like we were struggling to create. But to be fair, I thought Leicester's centre-backs played very well. I think Evans and Fofana are very good. Johnny Evans is like a fine wine. He gets better with age. He's 34 now, and he's still an incredibly good centre-back. Fofana I like as well. I really like Fofana. And I didn't think that Mendy played that badly just in front of them as well. Dewsbury Hall has to go out. I have to say as well, he was very good. He's very good at drawing fouls. He keeps the ball very close to his feet when he plays. He was. They've got some good defensive players as well as obviously Dewsbury Hall, who's more of a box to box maybe. Phil's put, will 36 points be good enough? That's all I see, if I'm honest. My hopes are 3 wins. I think 36 will be good enough. Obviously, it depends what Burnley do. In all honesty, I can't guarantee that because it depends what Burnley do. That's a massive if, but or maybe. But if Burnley, they've got Southampton tonight and then Wolves. Wolves are a good side. If they lost those two and we went on to somehow miraculously win the derby and beat Chelsea, we get that 36. They're still on 25. They've got to get 10 points from them, what is like 4 games. And then their games are Watford. Maybe they'll get something on Watford. Villa, maybe they'll get Villa. I don't think they'll get something, but Villa haven't been very impressive either. I saw a stat the other day. I think Gerrard might now have a hit. For all the stick Lampard's been getting in the mainstream media, Gerrard's not been exactly pulling up trees at Villa, and they spent a lot more money than us. Tottenham, Tottenham will beat Burnley, I'm sure of it. They got Villa again. That must have been a suspended game. And then they got Newcastle, who are safe now. Newcastle are on 40. I think they're safe. When you look at the table, I think Villa is safe on 36. Leeds are probably safe on 33. I think 36 is that 35 is that magic number. If we get that 35, I think we're safe. And obviously, like I said, if Burnley can't pick up wins either quickly, they're going to be in a struggle. And they need to decide who they're getting as a manager. They really do. Looking now, flashy originals, but let's get the season over with. We've survived, get a centre-back, try Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Patterson. I'd like to see Patterson get some game time next season. His injury is unfortunate. A centre-back's needed. I don't know. I like Ruben Loftus-Cheek when he's on his day, but I think he's a little bit inconsistent. That's not to say he's done for. Maybe under Lampard, it'll be different because they've worked together before. Obviously, Chelsea link, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek will have probably grew up admiring Frank Lampard as an English centre mid. So maybe that's the answer. I think we need a really six though, just to sit in front of the back four and do nothing but absolutely screen them, protect them, lay it onto the two in front of him. If we're going to play a 4-3-3, if we're going to play a 4-2-3-1, we need one who's just going to drop deep pass to the other one who can play with a cam. But I think that number 10 role in football is sort of dying out now. So we'll probably play 4-3-3. We just need somebody who's going to help that defence out a lot because they need that help. And I think that's a position we should be looking at. Cam's put, I see no point in this derby. Play the young lads, the rest of the team. They might. Oh no, they're definitely not going to do that. Are they? They've got the title, haven't they? Erwin's put, we're all in this together. Yeah, we are. It's going to be a long road to the end, isn't it? But I mean, I will probably watch the derby up until it gets to a point where I'm hating my life a little bit. Cam's put Mitrovic is like Pookie, only scores in the Championship. Yeah, that's another one. Pookie does really well in the Championship, comes up to the Prem, and I remember was it 2 seasons ago when they got promoted, or when they first got promoted in a while, and he'd done absolute numbers in the Championship. I thought, he'll be quite, and I think he might have scored in his first game, and his run was very good. And I was like, do you know what? He could maybe be a bit of a shock for some Premier League clubs because he's not fast, but I thought, it's an intelligent player. Since then, he struggled. Both seasons he's been in the Prem. That was one of the, I guess you can mark that as one of the ones I got wrong there. Philip Mason talking about Pickford. Hopes to God we can keep him. Same. I hope we can keep Jordan Pickford. I think if you asked me at the end of the season who's to pick best player of the season, which I'm sure we'll probably do that on the channel. We did last season's ratings on the channel. We'll probably do ratings or something this season, maybe. It depends on the season, doesn't it? It's going to be an interesting one. Maybe we'll, maybe we won't. I think Jordan Pickford, though, I'm going to say it's probably been our best player. The only other exception is maybe Anthony Gordon. Gray, you could argue if he kept his form up, would have definitely been up there. But Jordan Pickford's been a consistent all season. He would probably be my choice for it. Wonderless has put, didn't Pookie knock one past United? Yeah, he did the other day, although that's not saying much. DW's put, Everton should be signing young players from mid-lower table teams who are playing well and on the upward trajectory rather than signing big team rejects. Problem is we aren't attractive to join. I mean, I can get what I agree with what you're saying by young lads, mid-table clubs, sort of thing. Like you'd love a Conor Gallagher, wouldn't you? Ideally at the club, you'd love I know they're at Chelsea. That's not a mid-table club, but they're the ones who are breaking out. You'd love players like that. You'd love players like that Salisu at Southampton. He's a really good player. The centre back. You'd love like a Livramento. He's another one who's played well this season. More than you'd love I'd rather get them than go looking for 35-year-old, 34-year-old, 32-year-olds who are, I don't know if you're playing well at 32 and knock yourself out. Modric is an example of, some players just age like a fine wine. There's no sort of cut-off date. It's not like you reach 30 and you go, well, your career's over. Ryan Giggs played up until, he was in his 40s. there's not a cut-off date, but we seem to attract the ones who by 30 look like they're done. Which is annoying because then you look at the likes, like I said, of Modric and Benzema, not that they're achievable, but like there are players that last longer in their careers who play better, who do stuff. So it's absolutely crazy. But I see what you mean about it being that we're not attractive. I think right now we look a bit of a muddle and a mess, and we, like Wunderlist has put, we should be a step up. And I think we are, or we were in terms of potential. I think we are. I don't think. I think next season's massive for us. I think that's where we can really sort of damage limitate. This was damage limitation now, and obviously survival. Next season is reputation building again. Get that reputation back. Really perform, push on, show young players. We're back to being. People aren't going to be happy that I say this, but we'll be back to like mid-table. With financial, obviously now financial fair play sort of relaxed, Majiri back in hopefully. Now we're back with big financial money. We can push forward to improve this squad. This was just a blip. We'll rebuild. And I think then we're attractive. I think that's how we'll attract them if we can do that. Cam's put can't wait to be linked with Zaha this summer yet again. Yeah, that's another one. Certain players you will be linked with over time and time again, and Zaha just never leaves us alone, does he? He's absolutely mental. Erwin's put that he's very much supporting the Saints tonight, who have just kicked off. Southampton with a shot already, not on target but a shot. Yeah, I like Southampton. I really like them, and I think they're better than Burnley. I think they're a better team than Burnley. And ultimately, I think they're going to get the results against. Well, I hope so, but I think they will. I think they're too good for Burnley. In all honesty, so yeah. But yeah, going back to the Everton Leicester game because that's what you're all here for. My overall thoughts wasn't pretty at times. It was in the first half. I don't think we just weren't at the races. We really weren't good enough. Got better in the end. When you look back on it in a year's time, 2 years' time, the stats will say Everton should have won that. I can't believe that. Obviously, I think this is where when people say you need the stats and the eye test for players, I think this is an example of where it wide of range. You need it in general. Like stats-wise, we looked like we should have won that game, but if you gave it the eye test, we were poor up until the second half. But it's a point. Every point matters. Don't want to rob Tesco of a slogan, but every little counts. Every point matters when you're in this half of the table and it's this tight. I don't care if they come via deflected goals like they did against United or a Richarlison scuff shot against Leicester when we were on the back foot for most, for the first half. I don't care. As long as there's points on the board, I'm happy. DW's put we won on XG yesterday. Yeah, apparently we did, and I love XG. Yeah, it was a weird game. Like when you watch it, you thought, nah, but when you look at stats and that last, it helps that we had a good flurry at the end because that's what people will remember as well. The end, and we had massive big chances missed by Richarlison. Shooting boots were not on for him up until the last one. But yeah, they're my overall thoughts, guys. I've said who played well as well. I think Richarlison, Solomon Rondon deserves a special little shout out there. Anthony Gordon, two worst. Allen, who I actually really like, so it hurts to say that, and Damari Gray, who's gone off the ball a little bit, which is a shame because I liked him as well when he first came on. I'm hoping he can find his form again. It's not just a plays under Benitez. But that is all I've got time for today, guys. Don't forget to like the stream as well before you leave. I'd massively appreciate it. If you're watching it back on YouTube, like the video. And if you're watching it back on YouTube or you're in the stream, subscribe to the channel. We much appreciate that here. And if you're watching back on YouTube, comment your thoughts on the game down below. And I'll see you guys very soon.